And I paid attention that like every call there was like an ice break question. So I was thinking like, okay, let's make one for today. That's something that it's really cool, and the ones that you had there was very interesting.
Okay. If you want, I can start.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel alive? That's a great question. I think um, spending time with others. Spending time with others makes me feel alive. Hello, Septi. How are you?
Hey, I'm great, full battery. How are you guys?
Hey Zepti, nice to have you back.
Thank you. It feels nice to be back.
Great, great, great. We were just starting with the icebreaker of what makes you feel alive, and I said spending time with people. I don't know.
Uh,
Um, I, I feel that I can be alone, but I like to have like a lot of time with my family, my friends, you guys here in the work. Like I don't know. Um, I, even though that I don't go out so much, I feel that I am connected to a lot of people every day, and that makes me feel alive. How about you, Septi?
I mean, I just came from Burning Man, and it's like, the life experience, the higher experience I have, to be connected with yourself, with others, and, with everything. I mean, there was a night, like, we had, like, all these buildings, like, we were working so hard with everyone, like, we all are the same, we all building these structures and food and everything, and then this big storm came out and it destroys our kitchen, our stuff. We were like, myself, I was just even feeling like, oh wow, that's life. I mean, I'm dying here. I was really feeling that. And then like Griff was like screaming like, everyone start holding the poles, and everyone was so connected holding the poles. I mean, at that moment, I really was feeling alive. Like I was very, very connected with myself. Yeah, wanted to share that.
Amazing.
Uh, I think you guys should go to Burning Man at least one time in life. It's an incredible experience, like to connect with all your emotions, not only the good ones but also the bad ones. Yeah, it's an incredible experience.
Amazing. How about you,
Wow.
Bianca?
It sounds so interesting, Zepti. Do you have like a link or I don't know, maybe a video on YouTube you can share with us? I'll be
I mean, in the videos you will see like the cute part, like like the party, like the city we build. Everything's light, everything is magic. Like even I don't know, people go walk there naked. Like it's very high vibes. That's what you will see in the videos. Like you won't see in the videos like the building phase, like all that stuff. I don't think so. Sorry, you have to leave it.
Wow, that sounds very awesome. Well, make what makes me feel alive, um, it's having um an understanding. Um, I mean, not really understanding, but like realize the little things in life. To like pay attention to my dog sometimes, pay attention to my needs and people around me. So sometimes we are waiting for like this big thing to happen, but it's like the little moments, the little things, like sending a note to my fiance, leaving a present for my brother. Like those little moments, little things, makes me feel alive.
That's beautiful. I remember this movie that is called like Into the Wild, and it's a guy that goes to like a camp in a van, and he like enjoyed a lot his time there, but then they like the winter came and he couldn't go back to his family, and then he was like, oh my god, now I miss people. And yeah, it's how sometimes we want to spend time alone, but then we also understand that we are not alone, that we always need other people.
Yeah, that's true. I think going through pandemic and COVID and being quarantined made us realize some of that too. They're like, we need connection, we need people. Even like working in Web3, and when we go to those events, it's so good to feel the energy and people around you, because you don't have that in like day-to-day stuff because you work with your computer. Um, so it's nice to talk to people and interact and have those chilly moments, but when you are really like there present, it's totally different.
Completely true. That's amazing. Okay, then after this 10 minutes of ice breaking, we can tackle today's agenda. And the first topic, and I want to praise Bianca for creating this agenda. This is amazing. Would you like to lead the agenda today?
I, I have one thing that Didan told me that maybe it could be at the end of the agenda if we have time. So
Yes.
basically, like he was looking for the videos of the Graviton training 3, and he said like some videos are missing. So maybe we can give a look on that, see what's there, what's not, what we need to play. Yeah, just check it out.
Perfect. I have them. I just have to send them. Except the thing is that
Okay.
in those calls there was something that happened that like uh, I think in 2 sessions there was a little bit of sensitive information, so I need to like make the editing of the video and take that part away, and that's what I haven't done, but I have to do it, and it's
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So at least we can, yeah, we can tell Didan that that's a thing. Yeah,
yeah.
that's good.
I will also try to have the videos ready, send them to you.
Awesome.
That sounds good. Yeah, I put there for today's agenda about content creation. We talked last week about creating more posts. Um, I've been trying to be more active on Twitter and making posts on Twitter and all that. I've been wondering if we need like a calendar for tweets, and like made graphics beforehand for that. How do you want to organize our Twitter? Um, because now I think there are 3 people having access to Twitter Space. Not Twitter Space, but like the Twitter account. It's me, Juan, and I think
Durga.
Inverter.
No, Durga.
Durganas? Okay. So we are like more present and talking more to people. And then write a study case showing how we do um conflict resolution using our tools. Something that we talked about last week too. I wanna work more on that next week. Um with Araujo. He said he will be open to do that. But we need to choose the case that we want to study and to make it public.
Yeah, I think I have like three conflicts in mind that could work as a study case, and um, I also think that what we can do is to have like a list of topics and cover them. I also think that we can make bounties for content creation, and actually we can make them. We have there the treasure. It's just that people have to take the initiative. And I have written the most of the articles from Gravity. So I think like having another voice, having another people or another person writing would add a lot of value to our content. So if you start that writing any blog, I will support you, and I will happily like add with the editing phase, maybe add ideas. And also I think that's something good because it's work that we can do asynchronously, and we are spending less time in calls. So it's good that we continue working asynchronously. Hey, innovator, how are you?
Hey Juan, thanks. Yes, sorry I'm a bit late. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, we are good. We were just starting the agenda, and here we have what you designed. Thank you for it. We're gonna talk for it about it later. And we were starting to talk about content creation. That it would be good to create more posts. We can write a study case showing how do we do conflict resolution tools, and other blogs that are very interesting, and that any of these can be rewarded by a content creation bounty. And that I think this is a good work to be done because it's async. We don't have to spend so much time in calls to write something. So it's just to take the initiative, create a document, and start writing, and then like all of the team and I would like support and continue on the editorial and on the writing phase. Also, we have been talking about being present in different platforms. Right now, we are only on Twitter and on we are only on Twitter and on Medium. But yeah, how should that strategy look like? And if it's this something that we should continue working on the website calls. So yeah, it's interesting. Also, we can take some cases and make like a study of a case, and I would be happy to help on that. But I would really like if this post and this content creation is not done by me mainly, because I've done it in the past, and it would be good to have another voice. Also, we have these Twitter spaces that were really, really, really cool that we had last week. If you hadn't listened to them, I would sure invite you to listen to them. They are really, really good content. And it's about welfare at work in Web3 and what can you expect when you start working in Web3? What can you not expect? What do DAOs expect from people? And I think this is a very interesting conversation that actually first is recorded, and we can make some transcript, but also not only to make a transcript, but to make like a blog about this. I think there's a lot of interesting content that we can take from this. And once we have that content, we can post it everywhere. something that we talked last week is that we will have our blog inside the page, but that is not exclusive. So that we will have our content posted in our page, but we will also post it in other platforms, and that's why we are talking of being present in different platforms. And we've been participating lately in a lot of Twitter Spaces. Also, the website call is in 2 hours. I will write to Durgas to remember him, because we are working on this website thing that has been taking a lot of time, but now it's taking also shape.
Do we have a link of the website?
Yes.
Yeah, if you go to the calendar, you have the link there too.
Oh, thank you.
The thing is that as the page is under construction, this is the only thing you see. But
I see.
the backend of that we are structuring is this, and we have like phases, and here's like everything that we need, and like membership levels, and what are some of the things that we will do: education, onboarding, technical mechanisms, conflict management, emerging. And here, this is something that I find very interesting, and we'll try to frame our offerings like as branded sections. And for example, we will offer conflict management, we will offer trust creation and mental health. We will also offer, like, this is something that we haven't like named yet, like emergent constraints around consultancy and lowering the waterline, and emergent principles, the development of policies and processes. Yes, innovator.
Yeah. There's a sort of I think there's a collective set of behaviours that I see with token engineering commons, is that there's kind of always people are always saying, oh, there's all this work we can do, but everybody forgets about trying to get some resource in to do the work. So whenever you've got an opportunity where you're in a public space, I think it's really, really important that you say, look, we want people to come in, because if you don't get people coming in, there are some fantastic plans you're talking about, but in terms of resourcing, content creation, I know, because I was 5 years a co-founder on an edtech platform. Creating content's really not straightforward. It takes effort. And you need people on board who are able to create content, and in the subject areas that you're talking about. So I just feel that it's a collective thing across the whole of TEC, and I would also like to point out there's a heck of a lot of energy going on in TEA at the moment, where I think if that's where the energy is, I think we need to be over there recruiting people, because they're showing an interest, but we need them to, it's not, as the old John F. Kennedy thing says, ask not what your DAO can do for you, not quite, but ask what you can do for your DAO. We need people to contribute.
Amazing contribution, innovator.
I'm very worried about the whole of the TEC, because I see that across, it seems to me, across all of the stewards.
Yes, it's like different momentums, as you're saying. Like, I see that the energy in the DAO space is very liquid. So there's like organizations that can have like 15 minutes of fame, but we don't want to be 15 minutes of fame, but like rather a sustainable effort. And in
Bankless, they call it biddling, not building. Don't know why they have to reverse the D and the L. They call it biddling because they have a builder mentality. They want to build stuff, and I think I can see that with TEC 100%. But the thing about building is you need people to build with.
Well, the thing that for me right now, why I don't want to call so much people in, is because we are still in this planning phase. and we've already done certain brainstorming, and maybe if we continue adding new people, that would continue delaying some of the things that we have been trying to do. And the other thing that has been at least hard from my point of view, and I think maybe I want to know what you think about it, is expectation settings. Because like here in Gravity, we have small bounties. We work with small bounties, so we want internally, intrinsically motivated people. We don't want people who are bounty hunters. And when you post a bounty, like I see there's a lot of that mentality in the space, and that wouldn't be the people that we want in this project. So that's why I am always trying to encourage the people who is already in the project, people who is already intrinsically motivated, to take that step of maybe start writing something, and then the collective intelligence will help you. But that's the expectation setting side is something that a little bit troubles me, because maybe we can have a good writer, but then he would like to be paid full time or mid time, and really the bounties that we do in Gravity are more like in a very basic rate.
Yeah, I mean, I would say
I want to comment something on that. And it's like when we have like those bounties, and Johan was saying like you don't want bounty hunters. I think that's not a bad thing. Like you pay, if you want to build a Dune dashboard, for example, like in the future when you have like a gravity economy, then you make a bounty. Someone like, okay, like this thing needs to be built, and and it's built, and the thing is like what you want is quality work, and you don't want you. I mean, I personally don't care if the people doing that do it for the money or for the intrinsic motivation, as long as the work is done well. I think that's what matters most.
so. Juan, let me just answer that. I took over a Facebook group which had 850 people in it. There was a core subject matter, and the core subject matter in this instance was systems thinking. Okay, and that's something that TEC knows quite a lot about. But systems thinking was something, and I thought, well, this is very interesting. And I basically produced a lot of, well, I say produced a lot of content. Basically, I relayed a lot of content. So I saw content that I thought might be relevant, and I put that into that community. So there was I sometimes call that content repurposing. You see some content and you think it might be useful. Can you repurpose it so that it's suitable for our community? And we grew that community. It took me about 2 years and 5 months, but that community grew from 850 to 6,500. At that point, it got to be self-sustaining, and it therefore carried on growing. Although I stopped, as I call it, energizing it, it carried on growing, and it's now over. I think it's over 13,000. So those are people who are interested in the subject matter. There was no bounty at all. It was all about the subject matter. And I think that there are potentially people, let's say on Twitter, who I would regard as subject experts in the kinds of areas that we're talking about. And it can be possible to look at the stuff that they're producing. So I have this thing called educator leaders, and the educator leaders are people who understand that people want to learn and are willing to lead, but do so in a non a way that doesn't kind of attempt to take over the world. They're not controlling. So there are kind of precedents with all of this. And I don't think, bounties is great, and it's very honourable of us to want people to do things for bounties. But there are people out there who will do things, without that. And I still think that we can and should be appealing to people just on an interest basis to say, look, this is something that we actually know quite a lot about. So I think if we had regular sessions, I mean, okay, Twitter's one example, but if we had regular sessions where we said we're going to debate this subject, and let's invite people in who are interested, so that we can have a panel of people and debate a particular subject, that I think would get people's interest. And then off the back of that, we should be saying, can we bring people in and say, look, there's things that we'd like to do as a DAO, which we'd love to get extra people in to come and help us. And I think we'd get some people who would come in and want to help.
Yeah, I get you. It's not like we looking for the people to come, but the people coming for what's in. So I like this idea of debating and looking at ourselves as a meeting point. That was a feedback that I received from the last Graviton training, and I liked a lot. And is that we had people from a lot of communities, and it's a way from people who participate in a community to network with other communities. And also, this is something that I think that we can lead, and it's this thing that we call diplomacy, and it's like relationship between DAOs. And maybe we did this Twitter space with contributors from multiple communities, and maybe we can continue doing this kind of debates, this kind of interesting content for people, for subject matters. And I understand what you're saying. Maybe having interesting content for people who like what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
And I like this idea of being a meeting point. The TEC aims to be the Shelling point for the token engineering community, but we can also try to be a Shelling point or a meeting point for the conflict management and mental health community, and
trust creation,
and trust creation, and continue all these public good narrative that we've been talking about of how it's not only what we can offer to the people in monetary, but how can we make ourselves and our content so interesting that people want to be here. So I like that feedback, and definitely maybe having some of debates or thinking on some interesting content that we can have in a Twitter space, or an activity that we can, or even like a Graviton get together. It's something that we've been talking about a lot, and having like a lot of people coming and not only coming because we're calling them, but coming because they see something interesting in what we will be talking about.
Yeah, I think I'm quite strongly of that opinion. Yes.
Okay. Making ourselves more interesting for.
I mean, I actually think we've got that, because otherwise people wouldn't show up for Graviton training. It's just that we could have a different format of that, where we're giving people more of a chance to participate. Some of the Clubhouse discussions where people kind of ask, and say, there's the sort of the flashing mic syndrome, where people are saying, look, I'd like to ask a question, because then the panel get an opportunity to go, oh, right, okay, interesting question, and what does the panel think? And you've got that opportunity then to engage, and engaging an audience is fantastically empowering, because people will go, yeah, do you know what, I might get a chance to say something, which is not always the case in every Ask Me Anything meeting.
Maybe some Twitter space, but this is something that we can do in a very controlled environment, and it's like a Twitter space talking about a conflict in a DAO, but that should be
Yeah, we
very,
can.
because we don't want to be seen like gossipy or irrespectful to other communities.
Of course, no. Of course, we need to control it, and when, of course, where we need to generalize and anonymize. But that's entirely in our control. We can. We've got the capacity and the capability and the ability to do all that. So we don't have to compromise anyone. But if we can come up with interesting case studies, where names and certain details have been changed, then then we've got an ability to. I think when you remember when Durgadas did an example for us in Graviton Training 2, where and it might have been Durgadas, it might not have been Durgadas, but we went off into groups and had to play through the roles. And we had these 3 different roles, and we had to try and come up with an approach to how to handle these 3 different roles. Something like that, where people are actually being asked to think and think on their feet and come up with answers, because that's where genuine learning takes place, and people will always show up if they think that there's something new and innovative and there's a chance of learning. That's interesting to people.
Thank you. Oh, this is amazing. I think, yeah, from this we have some clear things that we have to make a study case. We can also make a blog post on the Twitter Spaces, and we also can make some Twitter Spaces in a very interactive way, where we debate some things, or where we can like share like what have been your conflictive experiences in a DAO, and
Yeah, I like it.
that people can say, yeah, one day I was working with a person, and then that person never responded me again, and he was with me in the multisig, and I could never move the money because that other person like never replied back, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Things of
absolutely. Yeah, that would be really practical, because people find these things, on a regular basis. I want to go also about the trust creation. When people are introducing new ideas or trying to get a proposal raised, where you're looking at, a set of existing behaviours, and people are going, well, hang on a minute, why do we need to change the existing behaviours? What's this new person? Who is he or who is she? What are they talking about? Why do they think we need to change anything? That's another small example of conflict, where people are trying to be innovative, and it could be setting up. It could even be setting up, working groups, or guilds. Those things where you're trying to set something up. You've got people with different opinions in the room, and you've got to try and resolve those differences in order to be able to set something up in the first place. So I think that that's another example. It's not one people might normally pick out from a sort of conflict management perspective, but if you're trying to do something new, there is a conflict of a thought there, which you can often run up against people's resentment. Even I've experienced this myself. Where you come in and you say, well, hang on a minute, if you do this, then aren't you stopping certain people joining? And people go, no, but that's okay, because we do, and those little moments where, if you can find ways to resolve those situations in an amicable way, that enables progress to take place.
Well, I think that we are also covering some of these other topics in the agenda. So, for example,
Okay.
how could we gather people who completed the trainings and onboard them to Gravity? I think it's something of what you're saying. People who completed the training is people who already has certain interest on this topic. but now
Yes.
that we have to continue offering them something interesting for this kind of people.
Yes.
So, and most of our content is really introductory, because right now we have mostly been focused on this engagement phase. But I now see this need of more advanced or more in-depth content for
Yep.
the other community. So that's really interesting.
Good. Okay.
Okay. Also, this other topic is that we have a website call in 2 hours, and um, in this website call, we are working on something that will help us scale a lot, and is that right now we our conflict management input system is still on the common stack umbrella, and the reason why only I have access to this is because this common stack um, user has a lot of sensitive information, and what we're trying to do is to have our own type form or our own registry mechanism, input mechanism, so that there can be multiple Gravitons seeing this. We are working on that in 2 hours. So I'll ping Durga because we are slowly making progress on this, but that's the idea. And once we have like more people seeing the type form, we can continue like advertising it more broadly. The thing is that sometimes I am the only one seeing it, and if like 5 inputs come, for example, maybe I can oversee one, and like 2 are related to the same issue, and then I oversee one or something. So it's good to have a more decentralized approach and to have like a better base of mediators.
Juan, can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
So there's kind of a lot of proprietary devices out there for kind of capturing inquiries. We can talk about Google Forms. We can talk about Airtable. There's a lot of different options out there, and I don't know to what extent it's possible to almost do a simple copy and paste out of Common Stack to get the stuff that's relevant to Gravity into a separate area. Right? Is that it could even be, I don't know if it's you could do that in Google. I don't know. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, the thing is that maybe it has been just like that. I just want to do it one time, and the work we are doing with the website is that the type form or the input mechanism will be tied to the website, so we will be owners of the information, instead of maybe having a Google form where Google has the ownership of that information. And yeah, it's just the way we've gone. And I also feel a little bit like rushed with this thing, and sometimes I would like this website thing to have been faster, but we are like more advanced on that side to like now take to start another thing in the same, that would impact the same thing, because we're working to have this input mechanism in the website, and like if we have a Google form besides the type form, we would have like 3 of these things, and I just want to have like move from this type form to something that we own. But it can also be like a really fixed idea that I have in my mind, and eventually I think if the website doesn't fulfill these expectations, we would have to jump to use that a Google form or something. But I know that Durgadas has been like speaking a lot about why he thinks this is the right way to proceed, and we've been very patient. We've been so let's continue trying to be patient to see if we can have this MVP of the website at least for the start of next month. Because
I mean, the only thing I would say about that is that from a funding perspective, we need to rely on the good grace of people who are saying, we believe in gravity, we think gravity is a good idea, but obviously, funding pots are not infinite, and therefore there is a time component that I think we do need to be aware of, and sometimes we have to make compromises and balances. So that's my concern, is that websites, I think by their very nature, are pretty slow things, because there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be put in place. So as long as we, I think, bear that in mind and don't run out of our grace period, then I think, okay, fine, let's continue trying to be patient. But I just worry that eventually grace periods run out, and I'd hate that to happen, because I just think there's too many good things here that we don't want to have dependent on something that is a technology aspect, where there's also other technologies that mean that we could find ways to make things work without necessarily looking totally professional.
Yeah, I still think that we are like on a good schedule. We have like still 2 months more of funding, and I think that would be like one of the last products of this initial funding that we received, having the website. And another thing that now I remember Durga is talking about, and it makes a lot of sense, is that in the website we will have not only the information for people to request a case, that it's the only thing that people would see in a type form, but we would also have all our pricing structure. We will have every detailed information of the service, because maybe someone can like fill the type form but not know what can they expect from the process. And the idea of the page is that it has like all the narrative included, so that when you fill this type form, you know what you're getting into. And like everything is there. And I think we will get to that point, but we still need to continuously and working on this website narrating thing also, that we have been working in regards this direction for some time. And I think now that we are seeing some advances, even though that it has been slow, I think I still have faith in how we're doing things on this website. And maybe I am being a little bit stubborn, but that's why you are here to tell me that that there is grace periods, and that we still have to deliver all these things. But we are trying to do something like, it's better to do something once and do it good than to do it once and then have to like review it several times. Hello Durgadas, how are you? We were just talking about the website and narrative the work that we are doing in Gravity, and that we will have the website call in 1 hour and 20 minutes, and that we are still making progress on this website, that it has taken a little bit of time, but I think that the design and the narrative and the construction of the website is what we really need.
Yeah, I'm currently having a bit of a busy morning on multiple fronts, but yeah, normally, so yeah, there's a couple of things going on in terms of that. Also, I'm trying to work with the 40 Acres DAO on their site, and I'm trying to encourage them to come to those meetings so that they can be kind of clued into how we go about it. So I'm hoping they'll be there too.
Yeah, and I think that right now we are more advanced in the design of the page. I like this thing of the branded sections. I think we still working on the price structure and the services and some things, but I think that we are advancing on this, and I think that we are doing it the right way, and that eventually we will have this website that would be like all in one place where you can see like all our blogs. You can request from our different services. All the processes, all the things that we have been working on. So excited to continue working on this.
Yeah, we've been making some tech choices and also talking with the guys from 40 Acres. Had some good suggestions, and they've got some relationships with people who are creating Web3 plugins for WordPress. So just trying to see how that might stack up too. So yeah, a bunch of stuff going on that technology yet.
Okay. Here we have other points of the agenda. Who is not feeling included? Who are we missing? And how do we know? Great question. Also, Gitcoin round ends tomorrow. It's too late to raise a funds party. Well, we've received very small donations from Gitcoin. I think it's a good place to network and to be seen, but it's not like the most efficient way of funding. Maybe we can prepare for Gitcoin round 16 and make it from the start instead of this late round 15. So maybe how if we prepare for Gitcoin round 16 mental health event next week, Discord or Twitter space. What do you think about this, Bianca?
Well, about the Gitcoin round, I was thinking if there should be another proposal because we are not included on the quadratic funds for the next round. I don't know if it's updating the same. I'm thinking if there should be like a new one, like to make a new one, so we could be including the quadratic funds.
Can you ask that to Anna? I think it's like a review process that they do every round, and it was an email that I didn't reply to at the time to be on that list of the matching funds.
Got it. So yeah, about the mental health event, we are doing it every last Thursday of the month. So it's gonna happen next week. And we're thinking about maybe doing on Twitter Space. And how would that be for like getting more people in, getting more people involved. This is the month for suicide awareness, the prevention of suicide. So we want to bring that topic. Um, we are trying to invite a special guest to come. Um, the only thing is that Twitter, um, we are not private. It's not like a private space, so it makes me feel a little weird about it because Discord, we can kind of like close here and we know who is here. I don't know. Maybe it's just like my mind doesn't know where to go and doesn't know much about this space, but um, yeah.
Bianca,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've got a kind of an outline of what you were thinking of talking about openly in Twitter. I think it's a subject that I think a lot of people actually care very deeply about. So I think that having that conversation in public is not necessarily a bad thing. But what I would say is that you kind of want to have a public cutoff point where you say, okay, fine, we can't really talk about that here, but if you wanted to come and talk about that, in a more protected space, then you could have a Discord version where you said to people, we can talk about that here, which would be much more protected. Although there are still difficulties, whenever you're talking about anything in a digital sense, it's actually quite difficult to protect people, when things are being communicated in a digital way. But it is a more protected space. So if you kind of had two levels about what you want to talk about, stuff that is reasonably okay sort of for a completely public space like Twitter, and then stuff that you might be able to say we can talk about this to a degree in Discord, and then at a certain point, it might be that you say, look, we can't even talk about that here in Discord, but if you want to talk to me personally, then that's the kind of next level of granularity, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does make sense.
Because I think the subject matter is something that people actually want to talk about, and would be grateful for people who have some expertise in the area. So I actually think it's quite important to kind of do that. But as you say, it's about then managing the levels and managing people's protecting people at the right levels. So, but I think you're well equipped to do that. So I think it's possible, but maybe it needs some thinking and some planning beforehand.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Thank you, Innovator. I only think about it because the way that we are doing the space, we are providing like an accurate listen and caring for the people who goes there. So they share about their life and their experience and emotions and feelings. In like sometimes it's in a level that's very deep, and we all like in the beginning of the sessions, we always like remind people that that's a safe space. Anything that you talk there, it's only going to stay there. And that's a we kind of like secure that you're in your space, that like you can use that time to access your mental stage.
But I also think that there are different spaces, and maybe you can continue doing this space that is more confidential inside the Discord, but like invite people from the Twitter space, and maybe that the Twitter space should be done more on an presentation way, or like a panel and talking about the topic, but not like sharing so deeply, and then you can like pivot the people that come to the Twitter space to come to the spaces that we are hosting in Discord. I
So maybe
think, yeah, they're
like
complementary.
so maybe like this month because of the suicide prevention, we do on Twitter space and then invite people next month to come to Discord.
Yeah, sure. That makes a lot of sense. And maybe we can have them um, according to the needs. Um, we are getting to the top of the hour, so I will go really fast on some of these topics. If you haven't filled the survey, we still need 15 more people to answer it to reach our minimum target of the research. So please, if you can, fill this survey. And that innovator created this workflow graphic that I think it's really cool. And we have like outreach, coordination, case management, treasury, and operations. And these were the 5 branches that we were working on for the next proposal. And I think it makes a lot of sense. I don't know if innovator, if you want to comment a little bit on this, because the idea is that we will structure like this on our next proposal with these 5 teams. The thing that I am still like wondering is if each of these topics should have like an independent lead, or that, for example, there can be one person that would be like my case that can take like 2 of these topics, understanding it not these things and roles as people but as work streams, and like someone taking 2 work streams. But I think, yeah, that's something that we still need to continue talking about, because we are working on this second proposal that is still a draft, but the proposal inverter guys asked us to share this document by the end of the week for them to have like a first view of this document. And we are still working on this, and it's something that we can continue working async. And we are still working on the pros and cons of using and going with the proposal inverter. Maybe it goes better with the narrative of a public good, but at the same time, we are still very close to the TC, and we should look for a way that we can use the support from the TC and also until the right point, and also count and use and benefit from the proposal inverter until a certain degree. So we're still working on this document. We haven't had hacking sessions on these last weeks, but we will have a proposal brainstorming session this week at 9:30 a.m. my time. I think it's 2:30 UTC, to continue working on this. So let's try to make this like a commitment to work on this document this Friday, so that after of this session we can share it with the proposal inverter guys. And something that I've been thinking also is that we have here some of the descriptions of the roles, but we still need to continue working on this description of the roles according also to this flow that innovator just designed, and I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only going to say something very short. Basically, I took the roles that were defined
Yes.
as part of that document, and I tried to envisage possible flows. Well, Bianca's been very kind and had some dialogue about it, which has helped a lot actually, and it's indicative. I would say only. There will be lots of other flows. It's not that I'm showing every flow that is likely to happen. It's not possible to do that with any kind of clarity on a diagram, but it kind of shows a generalized flow. So that's kind of just one thing to say, and I think the other thing is, please, if it's helpful, please use it. You're very welcome to use it. That's absolutely fine. If it helps, and I think I would like to try and tune in. You're talking about this Friday, yes?
Thank you.
Juan?
Yeah. Yeah.
I-
I liked it a lot.
Yeah,
So
I like it
I
too.
will.
I would only just say that it's trust creation and dispute management is everyone's responsibility, not just the case manager. So,
Durga, yes. It's very difficult to try to show that accurately in that kind of diagram. But fine, I accept what you're saying.
Well, I have an idea, and maybe we can make like a rectangle here that covers something that's as transversal. Like, I will try to
like a
make
Venn diagram.
like, yeah. How do I make a square? Graphic? Oh, no. Huh. Okay. I am not good at this. But yeah, like making a square here and drawing in the square the dispute management and the trust creation as transversal work. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I can think I can do that. Yeah.
This is a first draft, and I really value that initiative, that effort, and yeah, it's now that we have the first draft, we can continue working on this, and that's really cool. So more or less, we will continue working on this Friday. That is the proposal. We have been talking that we have two proposals. For the proposal inverter, it would only be one, but with different milestones. And for the TEC, we cannot ask too much funds because of how the conviction voting is working right now. But the better organized we are, the easiest it is to sustain all the funds and all the activities that we will be doing. But I really like this innovator, and thank you for this.
It's my pleasure. I believe in what's happening here. Obviously, belief is one thing, and trying to find the ways to kind of take the steps, the concrete steps, the tangible steps. That's another thing again. But I absolutely think this needs doing.
Yeah, thank you. And as you said, it is like coherent with this thing that we were working on, because it has outreach, coordination, case management, treasury, and ops, and it's the same thing that we had here. So we have to continue like defining the roles and everything. But I don't want to take more of your time. And I thank you to all that came today to this call for your time, for your attention, for your contribution, your participation. And hope to see you in the next calls.
Thanks, Juan.
Juan, there was just one thing. Are you able to put that survey up in the channel?
Which pin?
You said about us needing to do a survey, and we needed 15 more entries.
Perfect. I will DM it to you. And Durgas, I noticed that you are busy. Do you feel good doing the website call at the time, or do you feel that we can make it like half an hour, or how would you like to manage that?
Well, it's just I have an ongoing down problem at my regular work. So, and basically the company that I'm dealing with for support failed to respond to me basically all of yesterday. So, no, I'll be there for the website call. I'm just, and then when I showed up, suddenly Malwarebytes has false positives against Google. So if you have any Google anything open, it's like you're getting like virus alerts. So from the first moment that I started coming in today to attend this meeting and all this stuff, I had a million things suddenly, but now I figured out that those are just false positives. So anybody using Malwarebytes who's getting Google alerts, there's a workaround. Just look on their Twitter page for it.
Well, at least that we can make a small progress. Every small
Yeah.
progress would be a win on this sense, and we are
Yeah.
seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah.
So if you look at the tech choices, I've been modifying that quite a lot lately. So yeah, I'd like to. It would be nice to have a back-end sort of developer, because I think one of the things that I'm going to try to do is take and use BuddyPress, and I'd like to make a Web3 plugin that works with BuddyPress and BBPress. So yeah, if you're going back to that.
I am just trying to write. We need a Web3 developer.
No. I have people coming. You don't need to write anything down. I'm just communicating to you
Okay, you have the
that
guy. You know,
that
to look.
on the 40 acre side of the thing,
Oh, perfect,
they
perfect.
happen to have a guy. So basically, I'm just letting you know that the way that I'm going to achieve some of the back end goals that we have is to use BuddyPress, which is free, like WordPress is free, and try to make a WordPress plugin that would work with BuddyPress and BBPress, which is a forum, a free forum plugin that we're going to use to do our forum stuff, and try to make a back end thing where it's like a Web3 portal. Remember how I've been talking about the whole time that I wanted like a user place. So a lot of the BuddyPress and the theme and or plugin developers for BuddyPress and other things actually create a lot of plugins that help to flesh out uh, the user dashboard. So we're going to be exploring that a bit more. So yeah, I'd like to just be aware that I'm basically just trying to collaborate with 40 Acres DAO on the creation of this thing, and we're going to use similar technologies for both of the sites, I think. So it just happens that Gravity is a little bit ahead of what 40 Acres is doing. So also, we just need to get our own hosting. I'm sorry, what?
It would be also good if we can make a small update on this page,
Yeah,
like something is at least like a
yeah,
first
change.
glance or something.
Yeah, I could do that.
But yeah, you're doing a great work, man, and I really like that we are not only doing a page but a narrative, and that everything will tie together in this page. I really like that.
Yeah, it's just you can still see, like, to this day, like in the token engineering comments, for example, Sanpo group is like, well, how do we go back and revisit the narrative? And because they didn't build the narrative in, right, and because they're all dispersed in all these different tools and everything. It's a lot harder to put in a single pointed narrative if you have your stuff all spread around. So if at some later point gravity needs to take a hard left turn to, say we're going formally into mediation and that's all we do, then it's going to be easier for us to communicate that to our user population because we've had a single place that everyone looks for everything, rather than in token engineering commons. It's harder to do that, right? So and it's still, we're still allowing for a an open place and so on, but it's just having everything in one spot that's going to be better. So okay, well,
Yeah.
so we'll see you in a little bit then.
Yeah, in 45 minutes, I will also have lunch. Thank you, Innovator. Thank you, Durgadas.
Okay, talk soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Pleasure. Take care.